Today is 4th of July, which is a celebration of the Declaration of Independence. So it seems only fitting to talk about one of the most influential figures in the writing of the Declaration. He's also the closest to a true left-wing figure in America's founding, and that is Thomas Paine. Paine was born in England and lived there for most of his life. Until one day in 1774 when Thomas Paine was in London and met a Mr. Benjamin Franklin. Franklin encouraged Paine to go west and see the so-called New World of the American colonies. Upon arrival, Paine was enamored by the contradictions that he saw. This was a place that boasted of freedom and liberty, and for a certain class of people, that seemed to be happening. But Paine felt this was marred by the presence of slavery throughout the colonies. Thomas Paine was an outspoken opponent of slavery. But with tension between the British Crown and the colonies growing greater and greater, he did see an emancipatory potential. This really came through in 1776 when he wrote the influential pamphlet Common Sense. It contained a scathing critique of monarchy and called for a radically democratic form of government. What he called for was substantially more democratic than what ended up happening. But people found it very inspirational. It sold over 100,000 copies in the first 3 months and over 500,000 by the end of the Revolution. An estimated 20% of the colonists owned a copy of the booklet. It also greatly influenced Thomas Jefferson specifically, who then went on to write large parts of the Declaration of Independence, which was heavily influenced by Paine's writings. Paine was also influential in many other ways. His essay, Agrarian Justice, gives sort of an early look at what would eventually become Social Security. It wouldn't be accurate to call him a feminist, maybe a proto-feminist. He did support women's rights, but he didn't advocate for it even remotely as outspokenly as he should have. He was also fairly influential in the French Revolution and a democratic push in Britain, but that honestly could take up a whole nother video. Like anyone, Thomas Paine obviously had many flaws, but on some of the most important issues of the time, such as opposition to monarchy and opposition to slavery, he was a very progressive and influential thinker.